Hello and welcome to the Crepuscularbronies Discuss number 62. Today we have a guest, Animewolfgamer.
Hello.
And AnY.
Hello. Good to be back.
Ooh.
What?
We've got...
Oh my god.
You just
Okay,
need a bowler hat and a British accent.
Yes.
I can work with. I get it. Okay, I'm cool now.
Yeah, we also got the robotic Byter.
Blarg.
And, of course, me, Looney.
You remembered!
I remembered for the second time!
Damn it. Missed a chance for a good one-liner. Like, when I turned around and I failed my horrible introduction, I should have been... It's not easy being cheesy.
Yes. You always think of the awesome thing after you've done it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next time!
The joke afterwards.
It's a bit like I could always imagine just sort of walking away from an explosion saying, "Yep, that was cool," and afterwards just going, "Damn it, damn it, damn it, why did I say
Damn
that?"
it, I could have just not looked at the explosion.
Cool guys don't look at explosions.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Is this on my end? I hear music.
I'll be back.
This show is off to a good start. I'm really glad I finally rejoined the show.
Yes, we have hugely improved since you've gone, and why we now have new Google Hangouts, which kind of suck.
Oh yeah, pretty much.
Anyways, I guess we cannot longer avoid addressing the elephant in the room. Hasn't this been one great episode we all watched yesterday?
Well, I found it pretty good, at least. I mean, it's not outstanding, just pretty good.
You're just trying to cover your there's a saying for this, but
Cover your ass?
yeah, I believe there's also a more delicate version of it, but basically yes.
I don't know. Cover.
Because you already know that, yeah, I mean, Byter is always critical, and, well, I was not necessarily overwhelmed by that episode either. But it had interesting elements, I give it that. It had interesting elements for...
Yeah, I was just bored.
Boring, this is so boring.
This is
wait,
boring, get on with the show.
You know, honestly, honestly, the only thing that's new and interesting is mostly the Breezies, which we all know that's pretty much Hasbro's way of, we have to go little girls, go buy those new Breezy toys of your favorite Maid 6.
Buy our toys!
For what they did, at least it managed to play a bit in the story, although I wish that Spike would at least not cause the conflict for once. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, it couldn't
Did you actually notice how he left the show? He was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go over here. And then he was never seen again.
Really? Never?
Well, I mean, he might have, but I didn't see him after that.
I didn't say anything after that point. This one is
gone.
for sure. After that, we basically are only at Fluttershy's house, and everybody comes for a visit. But yeah, no Spike. Huh. But, well, I have to say it is still a little bit better treatment of him than this shoehorned moment he had in the last episodes. That they put him in front and center, let him say one line, and then tossing. This was always kind of seriously. Getting him in there is nice and good, and I really like when they show a little bit of recognition for him, but when it is too forced, it does more bad than it does really help. So, yeah, getting him out of the show early on is maybe not the worst.
No, honestly, honestly, I think the only time I've seen this work right was Bats, in my honest opinion. That was mostly led up to to a joke, and I actually laugh at that one.
Okay, I guess now it's a matter of taste, because for me this joke was less laughing, it was more like so, ow, this actually hurt.
I don't like being Spike being such an ass, like, particularly since they're doing this for the purposes of the joke, that he is basically just a character to be sacrificed on the altar of comedy for us to laugh at his entrails. And that's not really too much different here.
But to address Spyro 2060 right away, Spike's an ass? No, not really. I mean, he caused the problem. I mean, sorry, he loosened one single leaf that was capable to nearly doom this mighty fairy culture to death. So, sorry, I don't really blame him for anything, and he actually was rather apologetic afterwards. Like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. Him being apologetic was even over the top. I mean, it was a leaf outside of Ponyville. What are they doing when there is a leaf? Aren't they just dropped dead and that's it? I mean, sorry.
You know, like, basically that one, I wish they didn't use Spike to move the conflict along. Honestly, I wish it was more like the two other background ponies, Thunderlane and Cloud Kicker, or was it Cloud Chaser? I don't know.
It was Cloud Chaser sister Flitter, and not Thunderlane, because he had another color scheme and Cutie Mark.
So, like,
looks similar, not the same.
Like, basically just let the wind push the leaf, not have Spike move the leaf.
Yeah, it could have just been done by natural causes. Just sort of the Breezies got affected in the distance. It didn't change anything or do anything by having Spike causing it, other than his over-the-top apology. The only thing I could say about it, like, I don't like them just giving Spike in here to cause the conflict, and I didn't like how he did it either. Like, no one was around him to give him a leg up, which is odd for Spike, since, you know, he has some friends and connections. No one was kind enough for that. And then when he does get on the branch, he just sort of jumps on it, just
yeah. This jumping was also like, oh my. This is also this forced, like, be amazed by it. Every pony is like, even Applejack like, oh, say, oh, that's cute, it's Apple Bloom on the day she was born. And
oh, I heard that line. When they said that, I was like, what? He's the cutest in the day that someone is born. Like, any day someone is born, a baby is pretty ugly when it's born. It's all covered in horrible blood and stuff. Like, that is not the time to remember. The day after they were born, maybe, but not the day.
A dark thing could be said about that. Apple Bloom was a Pegasus when she was born? Not in this family.
You know, like, the Breezies, I do like their designs on this one, because they're a lot more distinct compared to their G3 counterparts. Like, this time they actually look a little insects. And, you know, they actually match their bug features and all. And for one, they actually gave them some sort of language that they speak, which I still don't know what it is.
It seems Swedish, just the entire way they go about talking.
It reminds you pretty much of the Swedish cook from the Muppet Show. So, but I am not sure if he actually spoke Swedish or it has already only been gibberish. So
it was probably gibberish.
They're all pretty squeaky. So even when Seabreeze started speaking in English, I was actually surprised that I could sometimes understand some of the syllables that he was saying. Like, I found the squeakiness of the voices of all of them makes it hard to understand any of them.
And then when I saw Seabreeze, I was like, that's a chick, right? And then later I was disappointed, like, what? It's a guy? What?
I didn't even do that either.
The genders of the Breezies, kind of hard to tell.
Because he has the big eyelashes that are usually reserved for females in cartoons, and it took me halfway through the episode to catch on to it at all, and then I was still like, okay, did she really call him a he or not? And then in the end, when you see that his counterpart is an obvious female with the baby and everything, you are like, okay, when he has a wife, he probably really is a he. But yeah, it took me forever to catch on. I mean, high-pitched voice, eyelashes, looking like all the other thingies.
As soon as
Wait, maybe there
Fluttershy
must be-
starts talking to him, she refers to him as a he, like right at the beginning, at the 7-minute mark. So for me, at the very beginning, the very first time that his gender was hinted at, I was just like, what? What? Okay, this Seabreeze looks like a clown, and he's got this, he's got this curvy kind of body like the females, and huge eyelashes, and apparently that's a male.
Maybe there's like some distinction that we didn't saw. Like, what did the female, like the ones that look female had? Did they look the same? I need to see that again.
Did you
Looks like the females were the ones with the longer hair.
They're an all-male race. They reproduce asexually by eating pollen.
No, I rather say we have once again a society of mystical creatures that are obviously polyamorous, since I only saw him with this code thingy, which apparently marks a male, and everybody else haven't, so they are all female, so he must be one lucky bastard.
Maybe. We don't know. We don't know much about the Breezies,
Well,
like what their society is, and they don't, like, the difficulty with their visual design is that there's no clear way of telling.
Background hand!
Yes. Background hand. Stroking cat. Yes. There's no clear indicator of what their genders are, which I don't too much mind. You know, you don't always have to know all the genders of all the animals out there. But it really, some visual indications of who they are and why, it really does help understand their culture. And they left it at kind of androgynous, which is kind of annoying.
Even so, to completely distract from the original topic of the show, of this episode, talking about the episode, I had once gotten the theory that even within the ponies in MLP, there are quite a few, that there are actually equal gender ratio, but that many of the stallions actually look like that what we consider female, so that there actually are a lot of that it isn't as obvious as we expect it to be.
Again with my music.
Oh yeah.
As soon as ANY says something cool, music plays, and then Looney's just like, "I'm sorry." Yeah, maybe a lot of the females could just be ephemerate stallions, or ephemerate-looking stallions.
Yeah.
One can't necessarily say against it. It is amazing that some stallions are very masculine, and then all the rest are feminine-looking, just look like everybody else. It's
but I like that the conservative viewers of MLP now have to choose between polyamorous society or dudes looking like girls. Have fun being conservative.
Oh, I think someone already did that.
Anyways, being the one who distracts the most from the original topic, I now feel the need to be the one bringing us back to the original topic. Wolf, what else can you say about this episode? What was strong? What was weak? Say something strong, because otherwise I will just pick it apart.
I think the strongest part of this episode is basically the dynamic between Fluttershy and her other self. Like, you know, that little guy who always keeps saying, "We need to hurry up and get home," because basically, like Seabreeze, like
the main character.
basically he seems to be like sort of like Fluttershy, only accept a lot more in your face and all that. And he basically had an entire reason to why he wants to get home quickly.
He went through the Iron Will treatment, but was satisfied with the results.
Apparently, yes.
That's another thing.
Like, I wouldn't say Seabreeze is exactly like a Fluttershy clone with slight inflection. He's not that at all introverted at all. He's sort of, the accent really put me off, because it's like these cute little thingies with stupid squeaky voices, and then one of them has a Scottish accent. For me, up north, the Northerners are Scottish. I don't associate them with fairies. I associate them with punches in the face and getting.
And with leprechauns.
No, that's Ireland. That's elsewhere.
Oh yeah. There's also one more thing I'd like to say, that they actually fixed the moral that putting your hoof down did so poorly. Mostly because it's, being kind and absurd, and that, it's always best to be cruel at at some points, but it's always sometimes the best kind of kindness to push other people forward. Like, in putting your hoof down, it was sort of so enforced and blaming it on someone else that it just doesn't work. And besides, honestly, if any of my friends actually said that my lifestyle is pointless and all that, I would not go and apologize to them. They have to come and apologize to me.
Yeah, I mean, putting your hoof down wasn't much exceptional in an episode. Like, one complaint I had about Philly Vanilli and a lot of Fluttershy episodes is that she's often defined, the conflict at least, is always defined by her shyness. And this episode is a good example of one of the other type of episodes they often give us, where it's Fluttershy being kind to someone else and finding the dynamics of kindness. I mean, she had that with the Philomena, the CMC, and one other I can't remember right off the top of my head at the moment. And for Fluttershy's depiction, she reminds me a bit of Season 1 Fluttershy, which is actually a lot better than how she's been depicted as of late. Like, Season 1 Fluttershy was a bit more mature and balanced in the sense that she had a proper sense of justice about things. You know, like even though she was terrified of the dragon in Dragonshy, she stood up for what was right in the end, and stuff like the cockatrice is another example of her standing up for what's right. That she both empathized with the manticore and stood up against people who were being meanie heads. And in this episode, they went back to that kind of depiction of her that I prefer, that the more kind of balanced and grounded Fluttershy, kinda.
That may be true. This is much better. This is sort of much better compared to Philly Vanilli mostly. I mean, I don't really like that one mostly a lot.
We too are not off to a good start, Wolf. Just saying.
So,
yes.
You like the breezy one, and you don't like Philly Vanilli.
I don't really care much for Philly Vanilli
My fake beard. Who can all see my fake beard?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh wait, because I don't have one.
Don't make me draw one on my face. I don't have the correct.
It's dry erase. For some reason, it's not coming off. But overall, what did you guys think of the episode? Like, was it a good episode? Was it a bad episode?
Yes, go first.
All right. For me, it's pretty much a good episode. Luckily, it is because this is a key episode, and if you screwed up so badly like Rainbow Falls, yeah, it would have been a lot worse. But pretty much this is a pretty good episode, and I like the introduction of the Breezies. I like some certain nods of jokes. Like in the beginning, it was a lot like a nod to Sonic Rainboom, only except Fluttershy is giving the yay and all that. So yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this one.
Turtle, you don't think you can slip through? What is your opinion on the episode?
What? I'm not trying to slip through. I can't really. I'm usually neutral on most of the episodes. This one, it didn't really do that much that impressed me. It didn't do too much that made me mad at the episode. So I'm kind of in the mid-ground saying, it was an episode.
Great deductive skill.
Lots to discuss there. It was an episode. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching.
That's why I don't make episodic reviews.
But that's why you are here. So making a whole video is kind of. I mean, I basically not entirely gave up on it, but I stepped a little bit away from it because making a whole elaborate thing, but having at least an opinion. Come on. But yeah, to free you from your burden, I can continue. For me, overall, the episode was rather meh. It had no moments of greatness. I was like, what a great episode. But it also lacked really big issues. So I don't dislike it entirely. For me, it is somewhere in the middle. What I have to say about it is that as a key episode, so as an episode which is kind of featuring this formula of going through your particular element, having a moment of depression, having a moment of epiphany, getting a present, teaching a lesson, or passing on the torch, so to speak. As a key episode, it was not bad, I have to say. I mean, okay, Rainbow Falls is still the unbeaten loser of the key episodes, but it also worked. It worked. It gave a nice new interpretation of the formula, and as such, yeah. As an episode in itself, meh. As a key episode, yeah, well done. I can say okay.
Yeah. For me, I was just thoroughly friggin' bored. There was nothing for me to care about, and the lack of care or polish or thought or maturity or anything that to glob onto really hurt for me for this episode. That in some ways I kind of actually prefer Rainbow Falls as a key episode, just because at least it had more colour to it. Like, I could groan more at the stupid, whereas this didn't even have enough stupid to groan at. It was just bland. It was just nothing. Like, the whole... The Breezies I have absolutely no stake in whatsoever, because they have nothing to do with Equestria, and I know nothing about them, and they're so pathetic and weak. There's nothing really much about these creatures other than that they look cute and they need to be protected by our characters. And it's just so boring. Fluttershy brings them to her house, and we just spend a whole long time doing sweet nothing. Just sort of sitting around going, I should send them, but we want to stay. And Seabreeze going, let's go. And Fluttershy going, oh, you should go, but they want to stay. Colour me disinterested. There's nothing interesting here. There's nothing special. There's nothing to glob onto. It's just a big, huge obsession about the Breezies, and the Breezies just have no stakes in them whatsoever.
Oh well. Yeah, but even so, I agree on this point that as an episode, Rainbow Falls gave you more, actually more highs and more lows. So it ended up rather mediocre as well, but it had something more substance to go about.
Yeah.
But yeah, with this one, it was a very, very smooth ride without too much excitement. So I guess all the olden people felt rather well served with this episode. How old are you, Wolf?
Wait, what?
How old are you, Wolf?
Like, how old am I? I'm about like 20.
The problem is I'm probably the oldest person in this stream, so I kind of shot myself into the foot here.
I'm probably 20 right now.
Yeah, it's so sort of simple. That it is just incredible mediocrity. Like, my complaint about a lot of season 4 episodes if they've been very bready. You know, like, I'm a critic. I critique food. I like tasty, full gourmet meals, and I can say this. You know, they shouldn't have added this. The souffle didn't rise properly, or whatever. You know, I like those food analogies. But with season 4, a lot of the episodes are like Castlemania. It's a Scooby-Doo episode. It did that all right. There were some problems with it, but if I'm looking too much in depth about it, that's kind of missing the point, because there's nothing special to these meals. That is just bready. So with this episode, what is it? There's Breezies, guys. There's fairies, and there's not any mystery to them. There's not much I've ever explained about them either. They're just there being things.
They're just being easy.
Yeah.
Breezies.
And there's nothing for me to critique about it. If I look too in depth about it, then I'm looking in too depth onto nothing. And if there's no mystery, there's nothing. I'm just critiquing bread.
You know, honestly, this new writer, Natasha Levinter, I think she's good at. I think she's sort of like Amy Keaton Rogers, that she takes a simple story and tries to add a lot to it. And for her 2 episodes so far has given me a good like to her. I mean, I was first disappointed with Pinky Apple Pie, but then soon I was up to actually enjoying that episode a lot more now. And this one, it's a pretty good for her first key episode.
Yeah, I have to say about Natasha that both her episodes are rather low in my personal ranking because Pinky Apple Pie also was rather meh for me. It had a few good moments, but I believe back then when we did our first impressions thingy, we came to the solution, to the results that it actually was worse than the episode we declared the worst previously. So at its time, Pinky Apple Pie had been the worst episode of the season. Okay, now I haven't really caught up with the rankings. I'm not sure where the Breezy one now ends up, but Natasha, not really my favorite writer. So this is basically the final thing.
Oh.
But what I also heard of, funny thing is actually because Pinky Apple Pie has been so critically acclaimed by many people who really enjoyed it, but now with this one I heard at least from CC and from, I believe on Tumblr as well, Tommy Oliver, that they called it the worst episode of the series. So
yeah, it hasn't had the same kind of reaction. I think for me, at least my perspective, is that both of her episodes have had great difficulty with getting a conflict to actually have any meat on the bones. That the Breezies being separated by a leaf feels petty, and them staying back is their own choice, it's not Fluttershy's, and that the whole journey back is still just as petty to me. And with the whole Pinky Apple Pie thing, it was such a pointless episode because the apples treat everyone like family anyway. So there's nothing at stake in either episode. Like, I don't care about the Breezes, and I didn't care about Pinky being a member of the family.
Well, just be happy that they didn't put Pinky in a bad light in that episode.
Yeah, she basically had no lines, so...
Pinky wasn't really, like, she was, despite going on a journey with them, hardly interacted with them. The most we had was an implied conversation with Big Mac off camera. The rest of the time it was just sort of her standing around as everyone else had antics, as she didn't seem to react or care much to their things. It made her just such a bland non-character, which, again, really hurts the conflict of their episode, because I should care about Pinky's place as the Apple family, but I don't care about Pinky because she's not a character, and I don't care about being a member of the family because I don't see any difference.
Oh, by the way, to steer us back to the current
episode,
Give and Take just asked, I'm not sure if he asked us or the chat in general, but he nevertheless asked for opinions about Twilight's new spell. Even so, she was previously shown to be able to turn living frogs and birds into oranges, which are still animals with mouths that can be open and stuff. So I say it's not so big of a stretch from her previously shown abilities.
Yeah, you know, like,
it depends. This is I think a lot of people have problems with this moment. Like, some, like, you know, you can't just easily just say, I don't really care that much. Like, you know, she is now an alicorn, she should have some powerful magical powers. Like,
yeah, but she could do similar stuff when she was still a unicorn.
Like, the most similar thing I could relate to would possibly be like Sonic Rainboom, where, of course, she did a magical spell to put wings on Rarity. And that spell was incredibly complicated and difficult to perform, and at the time she said it was so risky that she didn't want to try it again. With this spell, it's not just adding wings, it's changing their very, you know, it's the wings, it's the bodies, it's everything's been changed, and not only that, it's all of them simultaneously. And that's just the complexity of the spell. That's the technical details. In terms of thematically, like, there was no build-up to this spell. She just pulled it out of her ass so that they could turn all of them into Breezies. And my first thought when she said, I've had a spell, was like, well, you do have 2 spells I already know of that would do the job already. 1, telekinesis. You just push them there. 2, You have teleport, and you can teleport others long distances. If you know where you're going, then you should be able to get them there. So she can do quite a lot of things. And not only that, you know, they had the whole big giant chariot thing for Discord. Just load up a chariot with them in a cage and just bring them to the exit zone. There's 3 different spells that you can get them back, but they had to make a new spell out of nowhere.
But Byter, they need to ride the breeze to activate their own magic that conserves the pollen.
You know, mostly I just see it as I sort of think that Twilight has learned this from the 3rd season, along with the episode Bats as well. Like, she's actually more confident of actually using this a lot more. Even though that Bats does not have a clear explanation for what they explained there, I could actually take it. Here, they just need a bit more dialogue boxes, but I could take that Twilight could actually do this. You know, since she is like a master at spells. She's probably learned a lot from Bats.
I don't get though, like, it feels sort of contrived the way that even in like Bats, she's just sort of this magical plot device that just comes along and says, "I have the spell for the plot," and I never really necessarily just sort of like that. Particularly in how this one was done, it wasn't that she was spending ages trying to find spells to help the Breezies. It was just pure coincidence that they didn't have enough Breezies, and she knew how to convert them to Breezies.
I thought you guys might be happy that they mentioned the castle of the Royal Pony Sisters again.
Oh yeah, I'm actually happy with that, and we still haven't gotten another episode where they actually try to hurry and clean that castle up, since that Tree of Harmony is now fixed.
But basically, what I have already said in regards to the last time they actually were in the castle, namely power ponies, just mentioning stuff or just showing it short in the opening of the episode and then moving on with the current plot is not really worth too much. It is just like, oh, look, we haven't totally forgotten about it. Look, she learned the spell in the castle. Look. So this is more like, no, guys, this doesn't count. Either make it an actual part of the story.
Well, maybe it could be part of the actual story later on. Like, they could still be working on the castle.
Yeah, it will probably be, because otherwise they would have already dropped the thing and they wouldn't have brought it back in Power Ponies. But the thing is that, like in the current episode, they just mentioned that the spell had been learned in the castle, so to remind us, so, hey, the castle is still there, you see?
Yeah, it's the means of how they implement continuity into the show.
Exactly.
That some really good shows that I see, you know, there's lots of things that happen early on, and you're not always sure what they'll pick up later, but they always set up Chekhov's gun at the beginning, so that when it's fired later on, you feel a sense of cohesiveness. What this is, or at least how that was implemented this episode, is it's just a name drop. It's just like name dropping Celestia or the castle or anyone we've met in the past. It's not the same, because you haven't set up Chekhov's gun. You're just like, Celestia, this castle exists, and then you just talk about it some point later. It doesn't have the same feeling of cohesiveness. I don't know if it's just like, hey, we need we need some help with the weather. Go to Cloudsdale. That is continuity. That would actually be much better continuity, because Cloudsdale does help with the weather, and this kind of slight breeze thing is something that they should be fairly competent at doing without just having to ask 2 of the locals for help. Also, yeah, one thing about the locals I didn't get. Okay, everyone's turned into Breezies, and they go, like, they're at Ponyville, and then they're blown all the way into the there's desert backgrounds, so it looks like Appaloosa type lands. So they've been blown quite a distance.
I think it was more the San Palamo Desert that they went to.
Oh yeah, that's
it's good.
Yeah, that's what I think as well.
Trip.
Yeah, the only thing that was kind of odd though is just that the 2 ponies blowing them along just kind of disappeared. We don't see them again. Like, they just keep on getting blown, like, I don't know, they're blowing from Boneyville or something. And then, of course, they transform back, and then they have to walk all the way back in the desert at sunset, so basically going to be during night.
So I wonder if they ever face any dangerous creatures off screen.
They all just freeze to death.
Oh, leaves. They didn't face leaves. I mean, really, the whole journey, only one leaf crossed their path.
And that was by a stupid bouncing dragon.
Well, they never said there weren't breezy corpses all around Equestria.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, this was actually a point I came across with my discussion yesterday, that the one aspect which I can kind of respect them after all, if they started out with, I don't know, a swarm with a few hundred or a few thousand breezies, and the part of the swarm we saw in Ponyville was actually the remaining part, so they really have a really tough life, and only a small percentage of all of them is able to survive the journey. So in this case, it would be a rather harsh and, yeah, realistic thingy, but
Also,
no,
yeah. One thing also to note is with Seabreeze, I have a theory that, you know, nature hates the Breezies. Because, like, he's just flying along like a complete moron, and then, like, you know, he gets swept up by nearby ponies. Like, it's not even a leaf, it's ponies, just people walking nearby. And then he's swooping along the ground, and then, for some reason, all the Acons start landing right next to him, trying to hit him. It's like, wow, nature really has it out for you, doesn't it? So, like, as soon as they go near a forest, all the leaves start rustling off, and everything starts trying to kill the Breezies.
Yeah, that I don't understand that one either. I thought, you know, it sort of shows that it seems that Breezies cannot like survive in their own the Equestrian world. So maybe that could explain why they have their own home like some sort of portal or something. I don't know if it is the same part, but you know, there's one thing that interests me.
I don't know if the Breezies would ever like live in any environment. Like, the Breezies are so pathetic that you just think natural selection would just kill them off within a generation or two. They
live in their own dimension. So maybe it's different where they live.
I'm pretty sure that might be the point. And also that location that they just saw, I swear those look like that looks like something from G3. It's like they actually brought back something from G3 in there and put it there. If the writers really want to bring back a lot more G3 elements, then I say I'm welcome all for it, mostly. Although I am also one of the people who are hoping that they add more mythical creatures. Like, you know, one mythical creature that I can actually think that would definitely work is the snake god, like the eagle snake god, if you know what I'm talking about.
I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
It's a Mayan myth. It's one of those Mayan mythical creatures.
Oh, that could fit with Daring Do.
Yeah, mostly.
Yeah, I like the mythical creatures when just all of a sudden during your kind of, oh, Pinky has a magical sense thing, just suddenly a Hydra drops in. And that was kind of cool, just sort of, that the world outside was kind of scary and dangerous and interesting. Because there was that, you know, there's conflict and things to be worried about. With adding in the Breezies, I don't give a damn. They don't do anything in Equestria. They take some pollen and basically just waste a lot of people's time by needing a lot of help, because any loud noises or slight leaves going through their midst is going to ruin their day. It's just, they seem more just sort of like a bunch of cripples walking through town, all just trying to get hurt, rather than anyone who actually does anything meaningful or anything that relates to anything. I don't know, maybe in future we'll have a situation, you know, we're at the final episode and there's the big bad villain, roar, and then just a bunch of Breezies come in and all the characters just go, screw saving Equestria, save the Breezies! I mean, that's sort of the only role they could really play.
I don't know.
I'm sort of honestly hoping that they bring back all the foils that the main six has gotten so far, mostly. Well, we'll just have to wait and see what Megan has in store for us in that finale.
Yeah, I was just that's sort of the, I don't know, there's nothing I can care about with the Breezies. There's no stakes for me. for this episode or afterwards. They were there, and now they're gone. I doubt they'll come back too. Meh.
Something that could be speculated about is the path that the Breezies took. Like, if they came from Western Equestria, why didn't they just go back through the way they came? Then it kind of brings up an idea that they had to go around Equestria in order to get back. Like, they had to go get the pollen and then go back to the portal. So, like, why would they take that risk?
They're stupid? It's kind of clear they're quite stupid. I don't know.
Is anything known about G3 Breezies? Like,
I don't know.
Does anyone know anything about them?
G3 Breezies. But for G4, they have given us hardly anything. Like, Fluttershy apparently knows a bit about them and even knows their language, but she doesn't seem to spend much time telling us about it. So, but she seems to act with perfect confidence that they're just harmless creatures who just go to their homes, which really removes the mystery aspect. If, you know, a different type of story would just be that they are unknown creatures that are coming through Ponyville, and that we see a natural disaster happens to them. And, you know, you can bring back some of the paranoia of, like, the parasprites, because obviously the parasprites are very much the cutesy little animals that you kept in your homes, but then they just sort of ate all your food and reproduced like crazy. What's to say that? What are the motivations of the Breezies? Why are they all speaking in these silly tongues? You know, there's a possible chance of mystery there in the story, except they didn't do anything like that.
Yeah, there was a point where I thought that they'd have a shadow of mystery, but they didn't, because they ruined it at the end by bringing us to the Breezy world. At one point, it seemed like the Breezies just didn't want to go home. Like, there was something so horrible, so horrendous, that they didn't want to go home, and they wanted to stay with Fluttershy for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
And it just kind of made me think, what's their world like? Is it hell?
What's going on in their home? Yeah, I was wondering that. Like, why are they doing this risky trip? Why are they not wanting to go home? Is something going on that we don't know about?
You know, that's what that's sort of like, for me, I think it's like experiencing what the troubles are outside. I mean, remember that Tutzel worm that from the Three's a Crowd? What if they, like, the Breezies actually encounter a lot of those mythical creatures that tries to kill them along the way? That's what I sort of see. But although at the same time, don't they have like people that they care about to go home or something? Either they're too scared. I think they're too scared, or just doesn't care. I don't know. It could be.
Or they're just freaking lazy ass.
They're just lazy, seemed my impression. That they just enjoyed the life of luxury that Fluttershy seemed to give them for the short duration that they were there. Because we do see, you know, when they go through the portal, there's a lot of suddenly hugging Breezies, and a lot of them share the designs of the ones we've seen. So presumably, you know, we go through the portal and everyone rushes through to see loved ones. So the loved ones have been standing at the gates waiting for them to come through, and when they go through, they've returned all of them to loved ones, more or less.
Hey, they got the pollen.
Yeah, the pollen for something. I don't know what.
And stuff.
Yes. Then they just did it. They did the thing that we don't understand why. It might have been cool if there wasn't just mystery to who they were, but there was just something going on in their homeland other than just it being a peaceful land. It kind of reminds me of the world building of the Crystal Empire. You know, just like everyone's really boring, and it's a really fanciful place, but there's no life, no soul to the place. Everyone is really boring. If you ever see a Breezy again and ask how's your life there, they say, it's probably pretty boring.
So the episode was boring because the Breezies shared their boringness with us. We found the source of the problem.
Honestly, that didn't affect me, basically.
Good for you.
Well, yeah,
I'm more the...
Go ahead.
I'm more the optimistic one. I mean, I've only seen, like, this season is going it's going pretty well with me so far. I mean, I have almost enjoyed most of the episodes, and even the ones that didn't go all that well, like that didn't go all that well. Even those I could actually see some enjoyment. Although Philly Vanilli might be the first episode that I couldn't enjoy all the way.
Okay, this raises the interesting question: how have you felt about the previous seasons?
Oh yeah, me, season 1, I've started to notice that it's really slow, but basically it's pretty much a play it safe season. I mean, I don't see any episodes that outstand me other than Sonic Rainboom and Best Night Ever. Like, those are the ones that I put in my top 10. Then there was season 2, which was the most risky, which they took the most risk, and that became the favorite season of many other people. Then there was season 3, which was the most controversial, but I happen to enjoy it mostly because I've seen most of the effort that is put on, and I managed to like the 10 episodes out of the 2 abysmal ones there. And season 4, it's pretty much going the same track record basically like season 2. They're taking a lot more risk, and for most people it might be either a good thing or a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so basically you enjoy pretty much the whole series in general.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, even the episodes that I put on my worst list, I can only count, let's see, no, 6. Let's see, there's 6, 2, 6. Oh yeah, I can only count 8 really bad episodes out of the entire series, mostly.
Yeah, I still have to do my worst list at some point.
Though this does bring up a topic I was going to relate it to this episode, and maybe the seasons in general. That when I started reviewing and stuff, it was on the heels of season 2, where like I felt that the show had something genuinely unique and interesting to it. That I could push it to someone and say it has these things going for it, and that was sort of the amazing thing with the show. For me, I liked the show's immersion as the characters and the setting and the general groundedness of its stories. And that's what I could point out for seasons 1 and 2. But taking at least our most recent season, season 4, what do I have necessarily to push forward this episode or all the episodes in general to someone else and say, this is the thing that makes MLP really good. This is the thing that really makes it worth watching. And this episode, I don't know, fairies? Philly Vanilli? Singing? Castlemania? They had Scooby-Doo? I mean, Simple Ways? Romance Story? I mean,
well, there is one thing that we can show to someone to say this is what My Little Pony is, and that is the yearly picture of all the characters. That is what this show is. That expresses everything that this show has to offer. Not in action, but we get a picture of it.
But this picture will turn out rather gigantic after season 4.
Even with all the different characters, though, it like. A show that merits showing a picture of all of its characters is one like The Simpsons, or even like kind of Family Guy with its supporting cast. Those have huge and vibrant supporting casts who all have their own episodes and stories and bits to play into all the shows. MLP doesn't really have that. It's still
one-shots.
There's a lot of one-shots, yeah. Like, I don't know, do you want to, like, the most supportive cast is probably Spike, who just, every episode has one line that he throws in. But in Simpsons, you would always just have one line of Chief Wiggum just being lazy or something. But that's it. I don't think that the picture epitomizes MLP. Yeah. But to my presumption or guess on what Season 4 I can bring forward for the future, I would say thus far it has been a season of gimmicks. Big gimmicks. Like, that's how I sum up most of the episodes. Just power ponies. It's them going into a comic book and being superheroes, and that's the gimmick. Every single thing has its own gimmick, and whilst the gimmicks themselves, there's nothing that really runs in between them, and there's nothing really... When I watch the episodes, you know, I don't actually care about it because there's no polish and care to the actual characters and storytelling that can really be something I can push forward. You know, in this episode, whilst we have always said it's very boring, I still had quite a few groan moments because of all the things that happened on in it. Yeah, of course there was the Twilight spell thing where she's just like, oh, I found the spell, yay, toys! But there was also things like at the beginning with the cheering scene that all the characters didn't know how to cheer quietly. Which, I get it, it's funny, but it's stupid as well, because... Like, at what age would someone not be able to cheer quietly when you told them? Or what mental capacity is someone unable to do that? Like, even if you tell a 5-year-old to be quiet, they will do it because they can understand your orders. But anyone below that age doesn't understand instructions. So, I don't get that humor. And I don't like Spike bouncing up and down on the thing. I don't like Rarity wearing the ridiculously bright dress and going, oh, you think there's a problem? You don't see a problem, Rarity, with a dress that blinds people? And not only that, why do you refer to it as sequins when they're stripes? Just no care, no attention. The two ponies who are doing all the help, they don't matter, they get forgotten. The main characters are the Breezies, and they are fundamentally boring. We don't understand their motivations. Most of them want to stay for no given reason, and Seabreeze is the only one who does anything, and he's just a jerk too.
Technically speaking, it could be called sequins.
You know,
you can't quite portray millions and millions of small little circles with flash animation. Like, it'd look weird.
No, yeah, that's pretty much
They decided to do the lines and such.
I don't get why they are so bright, though. Like, they're a light source, not reflective.
Very reflective.
Even if you're very reflective, you need a strong light source to them. If you hold up a mirror in the dark,
sun.
The sun
the
isn't
light
that
source
bright,
is the
though.
sun. Well, it can be.
Well, it depends on the angle they can get.
Yeah, you need to be at the right angle because the sun is only from a specific angle. But with her dress, it radiates lights out in all directions, unrelated
well, it
to
started
the
at
angle
the
of her
top
body.
and then started to differ near the bottom.
It started. I don't follow.
Like the light, it was brightest at the top, and then as it turned through her body, it got less and less shiny. And we could see the design. Oh my god.
You know,
like,
if I'm gonna...
Her back was shiny, and her stomach wasn't. And that makes sense, because the light's from the sun.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Yeah, if something's really shiny, then yeah, it's best to have a really flat, reflective surface at just the right angle. Sequins, little things, they, when applied to clothing, do not form a flat surface. They go higgledy-piggledy all over the place at various different angles. I've seen clothes with loads of them all over the place. And what happens is there's random ones that have got the reflectance of the sun. But in that one, they just went lazy. Magic! And just everything's bright. Yeah.
Magic.
Yeah. The point I'm making, though, is the general laziness and uncaredness of the details in this episode. More examples, like, I didn't like, thankfully Pinkie Pie wasn't much in this episode. But for what she was being an idiot. She was just going, I don't want to be quiet! And even though she didn't want to be quiet, as soon as the Breezies are knocked down and they're by the stump, she runs up to them and goes, ah! Really loudly. Like, the whole point was to be quiet, and they didn't even bother doing any consequence when someone was loud.
Honestly, that one didn't bother me because that's actually what I see Pinkie will be doing, like, you know, actually caring what Fluttershy said about, you know, keeping it quiet and only release it when it seems everything has died down and like calm down for a moment. Mostly that's the kind of Pinkie Pie that I always see, like always knowing what her friends want, but however cannot hold it back because of her own views. That's the kind of Pinkie Pie that I actually enjoy.
Yeah, I find though that Pinkie Pie is obnoxious and one without any self-control.
Wait, we're talking about
which is
Pinkie
what
Pie
would
again?
relate to her. Yeah.
Oh.
Also, here's another thing. What? Yeah, Pinkie Pie was just being obnoxious as ever because it's funny, right? But every line Rarity had was about dresses, and that wasn't too bad. Just kind of like, yeah, you're being written right into your stereotype.
So, what do you think about the displayed inner struggle Fluttershy has when she has to face the fact that she has to be unkind to the Breezies for their own good?
Oh, that one's actually much better than I expected. Mostly because putting your hoof down was mostly unkind to the people that tries to be mean to you. But the problem with that one is that unfortunately her friend got caught in the crossfire trying to say, hey, you need to calm down, and then end up mocking their lives. This one, however, it's mostly being cruel to them for their own good sakes, and it's pretty much a much better version that I could say.
I'd say that, as I said, the original Fluttershy is one who I thought had already become to terms with this very kind of dichotomy, that she already had had her own values and ways of evaluating it, so that she acted appropriately with her kindness and her anger towards others. So, as I said, she does remind me of her prior depiction in prior seasons, which I like, though it also means that learning this lesson is kind of pointless, because that kind of person already knows it. So I'm just sort of... I'm watching a mathematician learn addition when he already knows it. When it's kind of the way it came across to me was almost patronizing. That a bit like with Rarity Takes Manhattan, they just love name dropping generosity.
One popular guy.
Yes, they love name-dropping generosity, and in this episode, they love name-dropping kindness. And I didn't actually I never liked it, though, when the characters just, the element is all that defines them. That Fluttershy, when she contextualizes her things, she goes, I'm being too kind. Should I stop being so kind? Kindness, 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 kindness. Are you getting the moral of the story yet, children? She is about kindness.
Honestly, I don't mind episodes that retread certain mortals, because mostly I think it's a better chance to put them in a better light, mostly because in the earlier seasons there's going to be some episodes that sort of messes up the moral, like there was One Bad Apple's moral, there was Feeling Pinky Keen's moral, and then there was Dragon Quest's moral, which I really hope Season 4 is going to plan to be fixing those too.
I've never really cared about the morals, I cared about the stories, and for me, I like a good story, I like a good episode. For me, the ending being something I go, oh, yep, I agree with that, is not enough to make me like the show. That isn't something I put people towards when, if I put someone towards the show, I don't say, the ending things are something I really agree with. Looney. I say, when they come to the ending of it, I like the journey. I liked what it said about this person, about this universe, that I was immersed in the story and in the people. Because that is how real meaning and real morals are taught to us. Not just writing off a letter at the end, or writing it in a journal or a book. One of my favorite things they did in this season was when they didn't explicitly tell us what they were writing in the journal at the end.
Well, let's see. What other points do I have on my top 5 AnY list we could talk about we haven't already addressed?
Yay. Nay.
Yeah, we already addressed all the nays, so...
Dang it, no controversial things now.
Yeah, I know, it's horrible. Yeah, the only one from my list that has not been directly been addressed has been the balanced nature of this episode's moral. That it is not the black and whitish thing to go, that it is like, oh, kindness, that it is going for a more balanced version. That it is like, there are moments where you have to be kind to get a message through, but sometimes there are moments where kindness is not the way to go, and that they kind of, that the moral is kind of saying there is a middle ground you have to find, that there are moments which are either for the one or for the other. Usually, this kind kids shows in general have a very straight, very one-way moral, which is not really diverse and works for many different situations. But in this case, it's really like, hey, you have to see there are situations for this and situations for that. And yeah, I guess this kind of more of finding the middle ground is not too bad, actually.
Yeah, as I say, I do like the return to the more grounded realities of attempting to represent Fluttershy in the past. It really does. I do like them. And a lot of times, even for the first 2 seasons of the show, they did often take that one way is the right way kind of path with their final morals. This one does represent the different sides of the coin, which is pretty good. Yeah. I still, though, don't like how it's presented because I was just so bored, and that the morals that they're throwing out are so ham-handed or blatant to me. That, on one hand, you know, it doesn't muddle the message. On the other hand, I like a complex story resulting in a complex answer, not a simple story resulting in a complex answer.
Honestly, I always thought that was always kind of the strength of certain episodes, like Pinky Pride. I mean, that episode had like so many things added to it in such a simple idea, mostly. You know, I don't want it to go too complex, like Magical Mystery Cure, mostly.
Well, Magical Mystery Cure isn't complex, it's pretentious. It talks of meaning, but it has none.
You had to bring up the bad word, didn't you?
Sure.
Well, I'm out of material to talk about.
Oh, shoot.
I'm amazed we were able to fill about an hour. I mean,
yes.
The first 10 minutes were pretty much shenanigans, but nevertheless, we got close to an hour to talk about this particular episode. I'm impressed with us. So, like, we are good.
Yeah. One little question I had, which just is a little nitpick, was where did Fluttershy or the Breezies get that little saxophone? Like the tiny little saxophone.
I was like, oh my god, what
It's so tiny,
magnificent masterpiece of having such a tiny, highly complex instrument created, and then this asshole comes in and destroys it. God damn it.
I always see that as like some sort of gags coming out, like the bats with their tiny magazines.
No, really.
Yeah. Again, it's what I refer to the lack of care or polish to the show. They just throw whatever in, it'll be fun anyway. One thing I'm just thinking about with the saxophone, I think doesn't it get crushed? And like a running gag with the Fluttershy in the house thing, with people coming in, and with Fluttershy herself, is always just, where are the Breezies? Where's Seabreeze? Did I squish them? Did I step on them? And they did that joke like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, when Applejack comes in and nearly squishes one. This was once again one of the moments where I think like, oh my god, these creatures simply do not deserve to exist.
Yes, I agree.
When you are a really sensitive, easy to scratch creature, you don't linger on the floor and wait for somebody to step on you. You don't. You fly away when Applejack comes in stumpy like.
I was actually The one thing I did get engaged with, which I don't think was the purpose of the story, was Seabreeze is running away, and the acorns are falling. I was like, yes, squish him, and he didn't die. And one other thing, he's traveling at such a speed, like 1 mile an hour, that he managed to break through the wall of the beehive.
Considering how light he has to be to ride on Breezes on a regular basis, so he shouldn't have any mass to begin with.
I know.
But yeah.
I was like, he smashed into a beehive, his brain is crushed, huzzah!
I can see a Flash game being built off of just that scene. Acorns! Avoid the acorns! Okay, yeah!
Why not combine it with, like, the Crystal Empire and have you're piloting a Breezy as Shining Armor throws people at you?
Yep, let's do it. Someone make that.
So, Byter, do tell. Are you going to continue the discussion in the aftermath with more people, with other people, or?
Yep.
Yep. So there is an aftermath. So people, you hear, you can join in on the discussion. The procedure, I guess, is common knowledge by now. I don't know.
Yeah. This has been the CBD number 62. Thanks for watching.
Vlog.
Bye.
See you all later, and I hope the next day will be even better.